Sorry, dog. Didn't mean to screw you. Hi, guys. What? You got a fat hog
Wake
and a
up.
son down here. I wish you guys could see this. This is adorable. Hi, guys, and welcome back to Galactic Explorers with your neighborhood favorite family, mostly kind of friendly channelers. Alice and Daniella. Welcome to the podcast that goes through all the earthly, spiritual, metaphysical, science, and all the fun everyday stuff with that galactic perspective in mind. Today, we are going to be tackling a particular viewer's question that we got in because it came in and it really resonated with the both of us as to something that we also have been bumping up against these days currently. And if this person's bumping up against it and we're bumping up against it, and you might be bumping up against it too. So we thought it might just be helpful to go ahead and do a little podcast about it to answer that question um, in the hopes of being able to help some of y'all navigate through this as well, because this one can be quite a doozy. The question was, let me bring it up here. I had it, and then the screen went black. Is um, am I resting? Am I exhausted? Am I just lazy? Am I just a procrastinator? Um, am I missing out on my dreams when I'm in rest mode
Good one.
as part of the flow?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what they're really asking is, for instance, when you get into the new paradigm, you begin to notice that things sort of naturally have a flow. You get to places on time right when you need to. You leave the house right when you needed to. Things come in the mail right when it needs to. Like phone calls come, things, email, like stuff happens
They
right
show
when it
up.
needs to, with no effort. You
Mm-hmm.
just take action on those opportunities as they present themselves, whether it be inspirational, internally or externally, and it comes. But the quote unquote downside to that is that to a lot of the old paradigm outside world, it just looks like that we're a bunch of hippies just sitting around not doing anything. In a lot, it's like that's the predominant sort of viewpoint that they have.
Mm-hmm.
When you say you're going to take a rest day, when you say that you're going to take some time off, like when you say you're going to take some you time, when you say you're going to take some self-care time, when you say that's like, I don't have the energy for that. People really put a stigma, like a judgment of like laziness and procrastination in with like a level of worthiness and deservedness and all kinds of things. And a lot of us have got taught that paradigm that if you don't work really hard and hustle really hard all the time in every moment of your waking day, that you're not going to make that, you're not going to make your dream.
Right. You're gonna miss out.
Right, that you're going to miss out. Right. And that's what they're asking is like, am I missing out on my dreams? Like, am I just procrastinating? Am I just physically exhausted? Or am I resting as a natural part of the ebb and flow of the synchronicity as it's coming? It's like, is
Mm-hmm.
this kind of naturally as a part of this, or is it just me being lazy, like the old paradigm wants to say? So I think that's kind of more or less the question. And I think both of us for sure, and I know several other people around, are kind of coming up against this as well because they're realizing that there, for instance, are times when they're really inspired or passionate to work on their business or their pet project or whatever it is, and sometimes they're not. So, a lot of times in business courses and schools and things like that, they tell you you have to hustle harder than everybody else to get your message out there because everybody else is hustling harder.
Right. You can't stop. You gotta keep
You can't
going and
stop.
keep going and keep
You got to
going and
post
keep going
every
and keep
day,
going.
all the time, 3 times a day, every day. Got to be out there. Got to beat the algorithm.
Right.
But it's like, if you're not inspired to do that, do you really need to? Is it laziness?
Are you in the actual flow of it? Or are you just creating content or creating whatever you want to put out there just because you were told that you that's what you have to do,
Right.
even though you're freaking exhausted and tired and you're going and you're going. I think there's a numbing point to that where if you're just on that level and you're so excited, exhausted, the opposite of it, then yeah, you're not in the flow of your true passion.
Right. I think you hit on something there when you kind of Freudian slipped with the excited thing, is that when you're excited to do something, you're never exhausted.
Exactly. Yes. Very true. Yes, definitely.
So if it's in your excitement at any one given moment to be doing X, Y, and Z, whether that's working on your business, whether that's doing your personal spiritual work, whether that's sitting down and reading a book or playing a video game or petting the dog or going for a walk, it's like if you're ever cooking a meal, like even cleaning the house, because there's times where you're like, yeah, I could clean this house. I could put some music on and clean the fucking house. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
Right.
it's like you get into a place where it's like, yeah, I could do that. And how much nicer does the clean house look, and how much cleaner and more time do you spend on it, making it look nice for yourself as part of a self-care thing when you do it in those phases than when you do it as, fuck, I gotta clean this fucking house.
Right. And how do you feel afterwards?
Right. So I think that to answer, at least maybe to begin the answer to question, is to realize, like you said, when you're in the flow of things versus when you're just pushing
Hmm.
just for the sake of pushing because somebody told you that that's how it has to be done.
Right. Or
Because
so
if
many
you're
other people.
exhausted, then you're not excited.
Yeah. Right.
Because you can't have the same at the same
Yeah.
time.
No. No. There's a difference.
You
And you
don't
know
feel
it.
it at the same time. Because if
Hmm.
you're excited, you don't have any room. Like, you know how you feel when you actually get truly excited about something.
Hmm.
You're excited to work on it. You're like, oh, well, this is a good idea. Oh, I'm going to put this picture here. Oh, you know.
Right.
So I think that it's an interesting discussion to have. Um, because a lot of people then would see that the times that you're not hustling hard, and aka for instance just sitting there reading a book or playing a video game or just sitting and doing nothing, for God's sake, listening to the birds, god damn, when was the
Watch
last
the
time you just sat
clouds.
outside and listened to the fucking birds for 15 minutes? I mean, who has the time for that? Fuck.
Right. It's and that goes into
Serious,
like
hey?
a belief system, right? You're
Right.
changing that belief system where you can't stop to watch the or listen to the birds or watch the clouds for a moment because then you're just like, what the hell are you doing? You're wasting time.
Right.
Like, but are you? Are you not taking time for yourself and reflection and processing maybe, or allowing you to have space to allow those ideas to come through?
Allow, yes, thank you. Isn't that something you and I actually were talking about last
Hmm.
week,
I
to
think
like
so. Yep.
amongst ourselves? Was that
Yep.
whole idea of um what was it? It's like worrying so much that you're not going to have inspiration, that you don't take the time to like defrag from that to give your brain the space to have the inspiration.
Hmm. Right. You have to like have a moment of clarity, literally like clear your
Clear,
mind
clear it out. Don't
to
think about
have
anything.
space
Put your attention on something else.
right for those other ideas
Mhm.
or moments of just, oh, I can really just enjoy myself for 10 minutes here doing absolutely nothing.
Well, that's why
And
ideas come in the shower so often too, because it's that
right.
minute when you're standing there in the hot water, and for that split second where you release and you just go,
Yep.
and you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about the kids, you're not thinking about your spouse, you're not thinking about the house, not thinking about bills, just for that 1 second, and then all of a sudden, and then that's when the ideas come.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or
Happens too.
yeah, when you're taking a shit, if you don't
Yeah,
bring your phone in with there, and if you just allow
yeah. If you
to let
don't
it
bring your
go,
phone in there, oh man,
let it go, and then let's see what happens. Don't
right?
take
Take
your
a
phone in
notepad
with you.
instead of your iPad, and then you'd be.
Just an idea, just throwing it out there. You just
I
never know
mean,
when those little
talking about doing two
opportunities
things at
come.
once, um, but yeah, it. I think you're absolutely right. Is that it's that space to like what it, whether it's listening to the birds or taking the showers. That's where you're getting that inspiration from. Is that space
Hmm.
to have it.
Right. And then I think too is also paying attention to what's going on around you, right?
Mhm.
Like, if you are feeling exhausted or tired, is it a seasonal thing? Is, the
Oh
seasons
yeah.
changing? Is the weather
Mhm.
changing? Our
Mhm.
body
Mhm.
is so attuned to that we
Mhm.
go, oh, it's just, daylight savings times, or, spring to summer or winter to, wherever. Like our bodies go through an adjustment too. And it's allow yourself to like start changing your foods, or, maybe your sleep habits have to change a little bit, or,
Mhm.
and it's allowing yourself that time too to be in the flow of that greater energy,
Mhm.
so that way you maybe need to take a nap here and there, so that way you can kind of like, oh, I'm getting that extra rest, and then I can get back into what I need to do because I feel rested instead of
Right.
pushing through. Because if you push through and you're tired, your work's going to get sloppy, you're going to be agitated,
Or the
you're
same
not
thing where
full
it's like you try and
energy.
push through and you don't eat
Right, or drink some water.
or drink. Yeah,
You're
like you
just
just
pounding the
completely forget
coffee.
about your body. And you
Yeah.
just push through all, and that's like, yeah, that's definitely what a lot of people have ended up doing,
Hmm.
working, the 9 to 5 grind, or doing, whatever they think that they have to do to be successful and not be lazy and not this is that and the other.
Right, well, you know what really kind of, being a mom,
Sure.
um triggers the fuck out of me. And people have a right. You do whatever you need to do. I get it. I've been there. I've done it. It's the mom that needs the coffee all day long. It's like, do you really need that coffee all day long, mom? Do you? Is it okay to, like, when your kids go down for a nap, you go take a nap? Because that's okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck, take a nap.
right? Or if they don't take a nap, then put something on and lay on the couch and go to sleep. Or, just kind of try to rest. Like, and don't feel like you have to be entertaining your fucking kid all the time. That's for me, that's a thing that comes up that just came up. I was like, ooh, the coffee thing. Cause I saw a meme or something like, I need my coffee, y'all. It's like, no, you don't. You think you do, but you
Right.
don't. And that's
Right.
the same thing. You're pushing and hustling and going. You're not allowing yourself to like take a break during the day
Yeah, I was
if
gonna
you're
say
a
it's
stay
like
at
you're
home
pushing
parent.
to like maintain an idea of a, certain perfect mom, so that you're
Right.
always up, you're always doing something, like dishes are always done, house is always clean, baby's always fed, every, laundry, everything. It's like trying to uphold an image, an
Mm-hmm.
expectation that it's like that's completely something that's been fabricated over time as what the duty is to be a mother, not only to
Right.
your child, but to yourself as the mother.
Right. Exactly.
It's so interesting how that has really transformed over time, the idea
Mhm.
of motherhood and what the expectations are
Right. Yeah.
of a mother.
And what it looks like, what it's supposed to
Right.
look like.
Yeah, what
And
it's supposed to look like. Exactly.
right? It's like when you're in it, and then, when my little ones were tiny, teeny, I felt like I had to be there, like awake and tuned, and okay, we're doing this now, we're doing this now, we're doing this now, we're doing, and it was like the end of the day, I'm spent, I'm done, and it's like I had no time for myself or to join my husband and I, it was just like I'm done.
Right.
And after years, or that wears on you, and then it wears on your relationship, and it wears
Yeah.
on you in so many different levels, where now I go, oh, I can take time for myself, even though they are a little bit older, not by much, but I can see the other side of it though too now. And
Right. Well, I think even like for instance, when they were that young, um, you could put them in like those little baby swings and face them out, face them to the window and let them look out the window, like while you take a little, 20-minute
yeah.
on the
Oh
couch,
yeah.
like
Right.
something like that, where it's like they're entertained. It's like a TV. I mean, like I'm sitting over here watching the cats, and they all have their faces like stuck to the window because they're watching
Right.
birds. Right? It's a beautiful day outside. The leaves are moving, birds are flying and chirping and stuff. It's like it's a interesting thing to, I imagine, navigate anything really.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's like to the best of your ability and come up with your own inspirations to do stuff how you want to do it that's best for you
Yes.
versus what the expectation is of a person with that title.
Right.
So
The
whether
outside
it's an
forces,
entrepreneur,
yeah.
whether it's a mother, whether it's a daughter, whether it's, it's like a wife or a husband, like it's interesting to see the amount of go hard, hustle all the time, have to be doing something, it's like almost I have to constantly be proving my worth to the collective
Right.
like being the family unit or the friend unit, or it's like
Right.
I'm constantly having to reprove why I'm here, why you keep me around, why I'm useful, like keep proving your usefulness to people
Mm-hmm.
in a sense.
Right.
So why so many of us feel the need to go hard even though we don't really need to feel the need to go hard. Granted, there are some people that are just fucking like that.
Oh yeah.
There totally are. Let them have it. Not everybody falls under that category.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has that kind of energy flow as part of their experience because not everybody came here to have the same kind of experience
Right. It's all
in that
different.
sense. Not everybody, or else we would all come here with the same kind of body and the same kind of abilities. And, it's like there would just really only be one of us here. Um,
Right. We're
right,
all individuals and we have to be our own individual self. And like you
right,
said, of whatever works for you, you find what works for you. It
right,
doesn't have to meet that standard or expectation.
right,
It's what works for you.
right,
And how are you going to flow with that? How is it going to make you bring joy and excitement to whatever it is you want to do or how to live your life?
right, right. And I think that's hopefully kind of answers that question in a sense of I think the idea of procrastinating and lazy are kind of outdated definitions
Hmm.
of taking space to let it figure itself out, right?
Definitely. That
Now,
old
granted,
paradigm.
much like anything though, you can be, it's like it can end up being a slippery slope where it becomes so comfortable to be relaxing
Hmm.
that you don't take those opportunities of either internal inspiration or external inspiration when they are presented to you because you're just having too much of a good time doing this or excuse me let
There
that
you go. Release it.
out ding or there it goes, it's like it almost went out of my mouth. um but the whole idea is it's like you can get sucked into an energy pattern of almost like being perpetually on vacation as an avoidance tactic.
Yes.
You
You're
can.
right.
It can be a thing, but that again, I think, like you were saying, is up to you to look at yourself, look at your environment, see what's actually going on around you, with you, within you,
Hmm.
and make an honest assessment. Like check in and make an honest assessment. It's like, are you being quote unquote lazy because you're actually just fucking exhausted because you only sleep 5 hours a night and you barely eat and you go like for 14, 16, 18, it's like you just go and you burn the candle at both ends. And how long have you been doing that?
Right.
And you wonder why like you don't have any mental, emotional, shall we say, RAM space like the computer
Hmm.
um to do any of your spiritual work. Well,
Right.
there's a reason. But it's interesting to take that assessment. And it has to be a constant reassessment too,
Oh
because
yeah,
can,
definitely.
you can at any point, it's like, okay, I'm getting really passionate into it, into my thing, working on whatever I'm doing. And you get so passionate and into it that you forget to eat, which is
Hmm.
like, okay, one time, okay. But it can become then a pattern where
Right.
you become passionate and excited and start working on your thing. And then instead of listening to your body and taking a break, to go do the thing that you're excited about, which is actually to go eat.
Right. Yeah.
You push through because at that point you're like, oh man, I'm almost done. Or I could just do this one other section and get it done. Or I could just do this or just be that or just do that and just get it done. So you push and push and push and push and push and push. And then 5, 6, 7 hours later, you haven't gotten up, you haven't gone to the bathroom, you haven't drank any water, you haven't eaten. So
Yeah.
it's like on both sides, you have to be aware of where it can very easily, if you're not paying attention, fall into an extreme
Yes.
and a
Most
pattern
definitely. Yeah.
that in that extreme. So it's like a constant reassessment of
Mm-hmm.
like, is it getting too comfortable? Am I not listening to my internal voice like when it says to get up to do stuff?
Right.
Or am I pushing too hard now because I've gotten into that mode?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that in between where you take your rest and you take your action?
Right. You find some clarity in between all that. Yeah, definitely.
Right? Because well, when you're resting, you have your clarity moments, and then that's where you get your inspiration to take your next action.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
Right. It's finding a balance. It
Yeah.
really is. It's
Mhm.
constantly, you're constantly balancing your life, and life changes and things happen, and you have to constantly be flexible and be open to that. And,
Mhm.
you know, your schedule is not always going to be on a schedule. And if you are gung ho to that kind of thing and not doing the reassessments or being flexible and being open, like, oh, I can take today off, or you know what, something happened and I can't get to it. Not going into that guilt or a fear moment of like, I'm going to lose
Mm.
all this inspiration, or
Yep.
this isn't going to happen now the way, then you set yourself back because you're letting ego and those fears come in where you're going, you know what, I'm flexible, and whatever I need to happen will happen on that time because that's going to work out the best. Just changing that perspective and that mind frame and allowing yourself, hey, I gotta check in. I can be flexible. It's okay to be flexible. It's okay to take a day. It's okay to go, I'm going to take this whole day off or this whole day to devote to my work, but then I have the weekend to, be with my family or whatnot.
Right.
So it's
I think
really,
you really hit it there where it's just being flexible, continuing to
yeah.
reassess and be flexible because we get into such rigid definitions of ourselves even as we grow.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, well, this is the new me, so I can't be doing any of that old stuff. And it's like, well, in the assessment, it's like, what are you really doing? Right.
Right. Yeah. It's, you just have to be open to the flow of whatever comes through and know that that divinely time is that divinely time.
Yeah, divinely timed does not mean timed by your brain.
Right. We are all such a linear time
Right.
thing. Like we got it. That's the old paradigm. We're in a new one where there is time is limited. I'm not unlimited. Sorry. There's, it's vast. And you allow yourself to be in that, you will get into that rhythm and allow for life to happen, and you go with the flow, and you're not going to beat yourself and you hold that guilt or that fear. I think that's another big thing that comes up of, oh, if I don't do this now, I'm going to lose it, or I can't,
Oh,
like,
so yeah.
no, check in. You're okay. It's
Right.
there. It
Right.
came. Just go with it.
And it can't be so hard to just go with it. It's a learning process to retrain your
Oh
brain
yeah, always.
to go with it.
Yeah. And you have to just,
Because we're taught there always has to be an outcome to whatever you're doing. There always has to be a payoff to whatever you're doing. There always
right.
has to be like some kind of visible, physical, monetary something payoff.
Our validation sometimes.
Yeah. When it's like,
Right. From who? From what?
yeah, from who? That's always a good
Why
question.
does that matter?
Right. Right. So yeah, assessment. But I think that the old paradigm is the old paradigm. And if you do your best to be honest with yourself as much as you can, then you'll be able to navigate those more easily in that sense. So if you feel like, yeah, I'd like to rest here, for a little bit and read or do this or that or the other, You'll allow yourself to do that so that when it comes time to get up to do this, to that, or the other, not only are you rested, but you've given yourself that headspace to have
Mhm.
the clarity, to be inspired. It's more of a balance back and forth to be able to recharge your battery as you go
Yes.
along,
Yep.
right? So you're never really depleted, ever.
Mhm.
Because again, if you're doing what you're excited about, you can't be exhausted.
Exactly. Right. And
So,
I think too, you create a new boundary for yourself
mhm,
and for others, like you're allowing others to go, you know what, I'm being pulled in too many directions or this or that. This is my boundary now, and
I
that,
can only take on so much to help, so
right.
many things to
Yeah.
help other people, right?
Yeah.
At a time.
Yeah.
Those kinds of boundaries. Those are big for people too, and exhaustion and
Or,
mhm,
like I told my kids the other day, I'm like, you know what? I was playing a video game and I felt myself just like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, you know what, guys? I'm gonna go upstairs, take 20 minutes, keep playing. Come get me in 20 minutes and I'll come join you again. But I need some time just to rest. And I did. And I went, took a little snoozer, and the kid came back. Hey, let's play. I was like, okay. But then I made this amazing dinner that night too, and had all this like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and it was outside of the box, of so it's simple as that, really.
yeah,
As long as you give yourself the permission slip to take that break.
yep.
Go look at a cloud. Go watch the clouds. The weather's getting beautiful and
Oh my
outside
God, I
now. Go
know. I just keep
outside.
looking out
Listen
my
to the
window.
birds. Go watch plants bloom. I mean,
Yeah, we got daffodils coming out. Well, it's been past daffodils now, tulips and such.
yep, everything's in bloom. I mean,
Yeah,
that's so you get in tune with nature, you really start tuning into nature, and it it ripples effect in so many ways.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we could have a whole
Yeah, we can just keep
podcast
going
on
and
just the
going.
ripple effect of nature.
Right?
But yeah, so hopefully to answer your question is that it's not necessarily lazy or just procrastination. No, it could just be you needing to take a moment to reflect, refresh,
Process.
recharge,
Yeah.
you know. And when you take that moment to listen to it, it may feel like to your ego mind that you're missing out because you're not constantly doing something quote unquote productive, right? But kind of like you just said in your last example there, is it so much of the time that by listening to yourself and doing those things, you end up with so much better results on the back end of it, which is
Right.
you end up getting the stuff that you thought you would be missing by taking the break.
Right.
Oddly enough, I've noticed. It's like if
Hmm.
you take the break and you let it simmer and you let it do its thing, and then all of a sudden you end up actually getting the thing or the experience in some degree that you wanted by not taking a break, but you actually took the break to allow it to happen. Whereas if you'd have pushed through it, you would have basically pushed it away because you would have just been working against your own field that said, take a break.
Said. Yes, absolutely. Go
Love
with
it.
the flow.
Well, thank you for that, oh my dear. That was a good one.
Wow.
If you
That
guys
was
have,
good.
right? If you guys have any other questions, drop them below. We love doing this. We love answering them for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was just trying to think, is like there's anything else? Mm-mm.
No, I think we summed it up pretty good. I mean, we could totally keep going because
Of
it goes
course.
so many ways, but no, I think we nailed it.
Nailed it. Double down. All right, well, dears. Well, on that note, then, we will. Yeah, we're gonna head on up out of here. Thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully, that gave you a bit of a sort of platform to navigate with from now on. So don't be so hard on yourself too. Like we said, like Dallas said, don't start going into the guilt thing. Don't start going into the shame thing. Just be in the flow. You got this. Like, subscribe, and share for all the platforms and all the things. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. Shoot any questions and comments and stuff you have down below. We love hearing from you. And we will see you next week. Meet me. I'm gonna make that the thumbnail. I'm just letting you know.
Okay.